All right, we'll go ahead and call this regular City Commission meeting to order. Thank everybody for coming out. The first thing we'll do is have the approval of the agenda, the invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, presentations, which we'll try to limit to 15 minutes. We have the Gainesville Sports Commission tonight, a proclamation recognizing the Lions Club 100-year anniversary. Miss Lita Carrero is talking to us about donation of pet oxygen recovery masks for small animals. Citizens announcements, these are the 2-minute announcements. You got a garage sale. We have a big 100-year block party celebration for the Lions Cup, those kind of announcements. Those are just 2 minutes. Then we'll have our consent agenda, which is the May 22nd, 2017 regular commission meeting minutes, June 6, 2017 workshop minutes, invoices, and a proclamation declaring July 2017 as Parks and Recreation Month. Then we'll move on to public hearings and ordinances. Item A is a quasi-judicial public hearing and second reading of Ordinance 2017-10. The second application by Kurt Sieber. This is the second reading. Agent for John P. Morehouse, owner, to amend the future land use map of Newberry Concentrated Plan from agriculture to commercial on 2.33 acres, more or less, located at 975 Northwest State Road 45 in Newberry, Florida. We have item B, which is quasi-judicial public hearing and second reading of Ordinance 2017-11, an application by Kurt Sieber, agent for John P. Morehouse, owner, to amend the official zoning atlas of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations to change the zoning on the following described property from agricultural A to commercial intensive CI on 2.33 acres, more or less, located at 975 Northwest State Road 45 in Newberry, Florida. Then item C is a legislative public hearing and first reading of Ordinance 2017-12, an application by the City of Newberry amending the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations to change the composition of the Planning and Zoning Board to 5 appointed resident members and changing the ex officio position of the mayor to ex officio non-voting. Item D is a legislative public hearing and first reading of Ordinance 2017-13, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances to abolish the Public Works Advisory Board. One under D is Resolution 27-15, a resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, disbanding the RFQ committee previously established by the City Commission by Resolution 06-11, and disbanding the Community Action Advisory Committee previously established by the City Commission via Resolution 18-14. Move on to agenda items. A is the city maintenance of county roads. B is Kincaid Building and other city buildings on Newberry Road. C is acquisition of land adjacent to Easton, Newberry Sports Complex. D is solid waste service contract, which is with our vendor Waste Pro. E is appointment of Florida League of Cities voting delegate. Then we'll move on to comments from the city manager, attorney, clerk, commission, mayor, and citizens. At that point, if you have any more controversial comments, statements you'd like to make, we'll give you 5 minutes at the end of the meeting, and then the meeting will adjourn. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as read?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Glanzer, second from Commissioner Martin. Any comments? Any comments from the audience about the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Agenda passes. Can we have Pastor Jack? Can you come up and give us the invocation, please, sir? We appreciate it.
Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, I want to thank you today for the privilege I have to intercede and just call upon your name and just pray to you tonight and just lift up Newberry to you tonight. I thank you for our city councilmen and women tonight. I pray you give them wisdom and grace, Lord, and just all the agenda that's going to happen tonight. I pray you'd be in the midst, Lord, and all that goes on here in Newberry. We thank you for our city. Lord, thank you for our first responders, our firefighters. Thank you for the public servants. I ask you to bless them and give them your grace each day. Lord, thank you for the Lions Club represented here tonight. Celebrating 100 years, I ask your blessings over them tonight. And all that's discussed here, may you just be glorified in Newberry. We thank you for our citizens, and we thank you for the businesses, the growth that we're seeing, Lord. And we just ask you to continue to bless Newberry and provide for our needs, Lord. And we worship you and praise you tonight. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Andrews. All right, I have our first presentation by the Gainesville Sports Commission. Mr. New.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brad Carmen, our Recreation Director, is going to introduce this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
The Gainesville Sports Commission is a liaison that brings sporting events to our local community and assists with hosting, creating, and supporting the event. The Gainesville Sports Commission has directly contributed more than $200 million of economic growth by bringing participants and spectators to the sporting events in our area. A couple of the larger events that GSC has assisted the city of Newberry in hosting is the ASA Archery Tournament and the 2015 Babe Ruth Softball World Series and State Tournaments. I would like to introduce Jolene Cacciatore Miller, the Executive Director of the Gainesville Sports Commission.
Thank you, Brad. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I bring some good news to the City of Newberry. Tonight, I would like to present the City of Newberry, Champions Park, and the Easton Archery Foundation Awards given by the Florida Sports Foundation. Just a couple notes about the Florida Sports Foundation. It's the Sports Industry Development Division of Enterprise Florida. They assist Florida's communities with securing, hosting, and retaining sporting events and sports-related businesses that generate economic impact and sports tourism for the state of Florida. Through the Foundation's grant programs, initiatives, and industry partner services, recognition, and development. Each year, the Florida Sports Foundation hosts a sports summit that brings together all 29 sports commissions from the state of Florida. During this summit, the Foundation presented awards to recognize the communities and sports commissions for their outstanding efforts in sports tourism in the state of Florida. This year, the Gainesville Sports Commission applied and won 2 out of the 6 awards that were given to all the sports commissions. The first award was the Small Market Venue of the Year, which was given to Champions Park of Newberry. This award was based on the events hosted at the venue, room nights generated by the events, and economic impact of out-of-state and county visitors, and they did showcase award video that I'd like to present to you today.
While the park is located a short ride west of Gainesville to Newberry, Champions Park hosted over 15 major events in 2016. The Gainesville Sports Commission funded 11 of those events, and for every dollar in grant funds awarded to the park, $32 was created for residents and businesses in Alachua County. The 11 Gainesville Sports Commission funded events resulted in 21,159 total attendees, including 17,129 from out of area, that created 6,239 hotel room nights for an impact of over $690,000. Those attending Champions Park played or watched games on 16 state-of-the-art fields built with the player, parents, and family in mind, ensuring each and every person has the baseball or softball experience of their dreams.
Great, thank you. So as you can see from the awards video, Champions Park is one of the premier baseball and softball complexes, creating a large economic impact with the state. With our 11 funded events, it brought over $700,000 in economic impact. And the Sports Commission is excited to see the impact numbers increase each year with the continued support from the city and county, plus the new improvements at the complex. This will be one of the highest creators of sports tourism in the county and an elite venue in the state. So with that, I'd like to ask Champions Park to come up as well so I can present. So we are very excited, and the Sports Commission is very proud to present this to the City of Newberry and Champions Park as the Florida Sports Foundation's Venue of the Year. So thank you very much.
Would you mind us having a photo opportunity?
Definitely, yeah. we're also taking this presentation to the TDC board as well as the county commissioner, so we'll let you know when the meetings are set up for that too. The second award that was given to us was the Mid-Market Event of the Year, and that was presented to the Easton Foundation Gator Cup event. This award was based on the event's number of attendees and out-of-state attendees, room nights, economic impact, and the overall host. And we have the award video for that as well.
While the Gator Cup Archery Championship is an annual local created event, the 2016 Gator Cup won the bid to host the USA Olympic Team Trials. Alachua County was the last chance for men and women to qualify in the U.S. to earn a trip to the 2016 Olympics in Rio. The Olympic trials narrowed the field down to the top 8, men and women, and finally to the top 4, a 3-person team with 1 alternate archer. This was a great marketing campaign for the local community, but also for the state of Florida to host an Olympic qualifier. Over 600 people attended the 5-day event, with over 80% of participants from out of state and 95% of participants from out of county to produce 1,138 room nights and a direct economic impact of $452,067.
Great, thank you. So this event was awarded because of the impact it has on the community, enhancing the quality of life. The Easton Archery Foundation staff was able to create this event themselves, the Gator Cup, back in 2010. Since the original tournament, the Gator Cup continues to grow in numbers of attendees and economic impact, specifically the out-of-state attendees with having over 80%, and that's really what it won this state award. The GSC is proud to see the Easton Foundation's Gator Cup tournament develop into one of the elite archery tournaments in the nation, along with hosting multiple Olympic and world trials. Furthermore, the Newberry Easton Sports Complex continues to be a designated community Olympic development program, which is only one of 13 in the entire nation, which is great. The staff of Newberry should be extremely proud of this, and I would like to call up the Easton Foundation staff. Again, it's my honor to present this to the City of Newberry, along with the Easton Archery Foundation staff for the Gator Cup Archery event. Thank you. Thank you.
Amy?
Let me get this gentleman here. Get on the other side, Jolene. Oh. There you go.
Nice work.
Good job, Mama.
So, of course, we are very proud to partner with the City of Newberry and help showcase this economic impact of Champions Park and the Easton Archery Foundation's Gator Cup event, which it brings impact to our community each year. So the GSC would like to thank the City of Newberry for all of your time today, and we are very happy to continue our partnership in support of sports tourism. So thank you so much.
And Jolene, we want to say how much we appreciate you and that partnership. Both Easton and Champions. Champions had a much rockier start than Easton did, but Mike Spina, LLC, Champions LLC, you guys have really pulled it around. Easton, you guys are doing an awesome job. We appreciate the help and support that we get from you. So thank you. All right, now we will move on to a proclamation recognizing the Lions Club 100-year anniversary. I'd like to start by reading the proclamation into the record. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. That's a quote from Helen Keller. Whereas the Newberry Lions Club is a member of Lions Club International, the world's largest service club organization with 1.4 million members and 46,000 clubs in more than 200 countries and geographical areas. And whereas Lions Club International was founded in 1917 and is celebrating 100 years of humanitarian service. And whereas the Newberry Lions Club is comprised of volunteers who dedicate their time to the betterment of our communities and aiding those in need. And whereas the Newberry Lions Club has undertaken many projects and donated thousands of hours of volunteer time to better our community. And whereas the Newberry Lions Club is participating in the 100th birthday of the Lions Club International by hosting a community block party on June 17th. And whereas the Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida wishes to recognize the Newberry Lions Club many years of service to the community and congratulate Lions Club International on reaching its 100 year of existence. Now, therefore, the City of Newberry Mayor and City Commission do hereby declare Saturday, June 17th, 2017 as Newberry Lions Club Day in Newberry and invite the citizens of Newberry to join the Lions Club in their celebration. Mr. President, would you come down so we can give you this proclamation?
If I could have all the Lions in attendance tonight stand up, all y'all. Now this is not just for me. I represent 1.4 million people in the world, and it's very humble, to say the least.
Thank you, sir.
I do ask that each and every one of y'all come as our special guest this coming Saturday. This is kind of a big deal for us. And the thing about it is not only is this our 100-year anniversary, next year is the 75th year anniversary for Newberry Lions Club. So we're going to do this again next year in a little different way. But we've got a lot to be proud of. We had a club that's nearly died about 4 or 5 years ago, and we are now at 23 members. That is a 109% increase this year. So Newberry Lions Club is alive and well, and like I said, we would love to see everybody come out this coming Saturday. We're going to have a great time. We got a lot of stuff for the kids, and it's going to just be, food, fun, fellowship, all in one deal. And if you want to know how it is to be a blind person, we have our online. Jack is going to help us to set up a obstacle course. You're going to be blindfolded, and you're going to navigate city sidewalks, a little bit of everything. So it's going to be a fun day. So we invite everybody in the community. It's free. There's no money going to exchange hands, so we're excited about it. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Lion Ken.
Mr. Mayor, what is
sir.
the times for the event Saturday?
4 to 7.
4 to 7 on Saturday, June 17th. The Lions Club is on the west side of town. It's a white building with some blue and gold trim now. So please, and a big sign out front. Yes. But we appreciate everything Lions Club. We've eaten a lot of pancakes in Newberry to feed volunteers who are going out to work. We've fed folks to help injured girls, students, businesses that are in trouble. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and we're glad to see the club is growing. And fair disclosure, I should have announced, I guess, that I am a Lion. So, all right. Thank y'all. Okay. Item C is Miss Lita Carrero. Did I pronounce that right? Carrero?
I believe it's
Carrero. Okay. And you're going to be talking to us about pet oxygen recovery masks for small animals.
Several weeks ago, I saw a presentation. I'm short. I saw a presentation about firefighters not having masks suitable for rescuing our pets in fires and even wildfires, whatever. So I decided to raise the money to start purchasing these kits. I'm a citizen of High Springs. The citizens of High Springs have been very generous. As a result, I've been able to purchase 12 sets of masks. In some cases, these masks were purchased by an individual. In some cases, it was accumulation of donations of $20 and $30. Today, this set is being donated entirely, purchased entirely by Danelle Henderson, who'll be coming up here in a minute, but I want to show you the masks. As you can see, these are specifically designed to sit over our pets, small, medium, and large, poodles, shepherds, whatever. And little hoses come in. Now what happens is these hoses attach to the oxygen tanks that they have on the trucks. And my hope is that I can get other organizations to do what High Springs has done, so that we can give them to to Trenton or Hawthorne or anybody else. And I will continue to raise the money and get the masks out there until I run out of money. So maybe I can get in contact with you later on. You could give me some names of some organizations. You know, even if the mask costs $67, so it doesn't take much of a donation to buy
The whole kit costs $67.
The whole kit.
And how many kits do each fire department need to have on hand?
Well, that I don't know.
Question for Ben.
We have one kit in High Springs, and I gave one kit to Micanopy, one kit to Lake City, Alachua, and now you. Now, if you need more than one kit, that's fine. Let me know. But then I would ask you all to participate in that. There's no downside to this. This is really great. I mean, we love our pets. We have a deep compassion for them. So anyhow, this kit is been paid for by Danelle. And Danelle, I'd like you to come up here and give this kit to the fire chief. And you have a few words to say, I'm sure.
Thank you for having me. When Lita first asked me to come, I thought, well, I don't need to go for any things. And that's what I said to her. But then I thought about it more and wanted to come to hopefully instill in others the desire to do the same thing. Animals cannot be resuscitated the way that humans can. This has to go over their snout. And when she approached me about it, I thought, what a wonderful thing that somebody has designed this. Because dogs especially offer us companionship and love, entertainment, and protection, and many other things. And in return, it's nice that we can do something to help them if they're in trouble. So that's why I did this, and I hope that by being here, I can instill in an individuals or a group of people to help purchase even more, because one for an entire county really isn't sufficient if there's a real emergency. But I also want to thank our emergency responders who work for us hard every day of the year and do not ever get enough thanks. And God bless them. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
One other thing I'd like to add is if you all do need additional masks, be sure and go through me, because the first set of masks I bought cost $87 because I bought one. Now they're giving me a quantity discount, and now it's $67 a mask. So if you decide you want it and you go direct, you're not going to get the discount that I'm getting. So please go through me. And
I understand that I'm supposed to present this to the emergency. I am so pleased to be able to do this. I'm very blessed. And thank you so much for what you do every day. Thank you.
yeah, come here, little shorty.
Not a photo op.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. If you need more,
Hey, man.
Miss Carrero. Oh, Ben, have you got some
Okay.
more information for us?
Just real quick, we'd like to, on behalf of the fire department, we'd like to thank you, Ms. Carrero, for the donation. It is something that we do not have on our apparatus at this time. Those work specifically for the canine and felines, and the human oxygen masks do not function adequately enough. So this is going to be a tool in our toolbox that we'll be able to use in the future, and we appreciate the donation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ben, do you need one of those on each one of your trucks, or how does it work?
No, we primarily run out of our engine. Whenever that goes out of service for maintenance or any kind of mechanical problems, we transfer our equipment over to our Quint. So those will be the two primary response vehicles, and the engine will pretty much go to everything prior to the Quint going to, or they would be concurrently traveling to the same call. So that would be, one kit should be sufficient at this time.
All right. And they are reusable. Commissioner Barden?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Carrera, I'm really happy that you did this for us, and this is something I never even would have thought of, but I saw it on the agenda tonight, and I was very, very happy to see it. I have $20 here for you to go towards your next, and just pay it forward to another community, okay?
I only need 27. Well,
Look at that. Ask and you shall receive.
Thank you.
I don't either.
Just take this visa and I got a pen.
We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate what you did for us.
Lita.
Wow, wonderful. Let's take it. I know you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Wonderful idea. All right, now we'll move to the citizen announcement. This is the short, brief announcement, just letting us know about things that are going on in the community. We've already had one from the Lions Club about the June 17th block party at the park. Chair recognizes Mr. Marlon Day.
Thank you, Marlon Day, Alachua County Library District. I want to remind everybody that we do have our summer reading program going on right now. The Santa Fe Zoo will be here at the library this Thursday, June 15th at 3 p.m. With their Florida wildlife. Magic Mike will be the following Thursday at 3 p.m. on June 22nd. And if you haven't had a chance to go online and set up your summer reading account at the library, you can still do that at www.aclib.us/summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' announcements? I know the Lions Club just did a wonderful job helping out the cold storage. Maybe they want to say a few words about that. No. Since you're right here, you don't have to get any details. Just
I would like to thank all of the people that came out, the love that was shown by this community for that family was just humbling. If there was, no other explanation for it. At this time, we're over $1,600, I believe, that we raised for the cold storage. We'll be making a presentation on them shortly, so that would go a long way towards the money they need to get back on their feet and get rolling again. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready for some more cold storage sausage myself.
Well, we appreciate that. I know not only the family and the business appreciates it, but the local FFA chapters around appreciate it. The farmers that utilize the cold storage to feed their families appreciate it. So thank you so much for thinking of them and putting that on.
If I could take just one moment, there was one thing happened at the pancake breakfast that was phenomenal. There were 6 students from Newberry High School that came out and assisted. And every time we turn around, we have students from Newberry High School that are coming and doing things for the Lions Club and helping us out. If you've noticed, our building has been painted. That was student volunteers. Our yard was cleaned up. Devin Day does our yard mowing for us.
Southern yard work.
Super people. These kids are coming out. Our future is in great hands if those kids are any example of what's coming up. Because they are fantastic, and we would thank them from the bottom of our heart and go on permanent record that we couldn't do what we do without them. So thank you all very much.
They appreciate you. Come on down, sir. You know I have to put you on the spot.
I'm always on it.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Do I got my name is Tyrone Watson, Mr. Watson. I am the creator of the fundraiser for Newberry Blessed Hope. Okay, it's going on track. Right at this point, we've raised $5,000 with the banners. We've got trophies. We also got medals. We got all the food, everything. So we're on track to raise at least $20,000, if not more, when we do the raffles and everything else. And I'd like to thank everybody here. And I got to talk to y'all later, but anyway, that's all fine. I got to thank everybody here. My son put the tournament together. He's coach at Bell High School. Don Record is the president of Blessed Hope. Mike, everybody. I'm just the creator, and they put everything together. So I just want you to know that it's on track, and it's good to go, and we're raising the money.
All right. What's the date for that again?
July 1st. It starts at 8 o'clock, and it ends at 7. We also got.
And what time is the barbecue going to be
barbecue
ready?
is going to be it starts at 9, but 8:30 to 9.
Barbecue at 9 a.m. I like it.
Storm Fields, we're trying to get him to speak. We also got
Storm Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts Fields. And what's the lady that's on? What is her name? She comes on TV 20 at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning.
Paige Beck.
Tracy West.
Yeah, we're trying to get her. We got back to her, so hopefully we got 4 UF basketball players. Hopefully they'll come. I'm in touch with UF, so everything's on track.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for helping Blessed Hope. All right. Any other citizens' announcements? Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Coleman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move to public hearings and ordinances. All right. The procedure, this is a quasi-judicial meeting procedure. This procedure is to ensure that the applicant provides a complete presentation of their request prior to any testimony being provided by staff. All public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. Procedure we will follow this evening is we will first hear from the applicant with no time limit. The applicant will then be subject to cross-examination. The staff will then enter the staff report in the record and answer questions. The applicant will have the opportunity for rebuttal of any testimony against the application. Then the floor will be open for public comment, with each presentation being limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public will have an opportunity to question the applicant or staff. The applicant will have an opportunity for closing arguments. The public hearing will be closed, and the commission will enter into deliberations. If anyone is here tonight who intends to give testimony, please stand now so the clerk can administer the oath. If you think at all you're going to talk, please stand up.
Please raise your right hand and state your name individually.
Kurt Sieber.
Randy Kinzer. Do you swear or in the testimony you are about to give that you will tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You have been duly sworn. When you are recognized to come up and speak, please state your name again and that you have been duly sworn.
Recognizing the absence of Commissioner McGehee, are any of the present commissioners, do you have any communications you need to? No. And I apologize, Commissioner Farnsworth is ill tonight. We hope that he has a speedy recovery. Okay. We'll ask Commissioner McGehee when he comes back in. Does the applicant have a presentation to make to us tonight? Sure. This is the second reading, so.
My name is Kurt Sieber. I own Top Shelf Interior Solutions, currently located in Gainesville. I'm acting as agent for John Morehouse, the current owner of a parcel of land here in the city limits of Newberry. It's illustrated on the board behind you. It's at 975 Northwest State Road 45 in the city limits. And I'm requesting that you consider and pass rezoning of that property from agricultural to commercial intensive so that I may purchase the land in order to move my business from Gainesville to the city of Newberry and put my company under one roof.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner McGee, have you had any communications with anyone involved in this that you? All right. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? No? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Ms. Wendy, are you going to be giving the staff report here?
Wendy Kinzer, Principal Planner. I have been sworn. And before you tonight, the comprehensive plan amendment is this application. And this one is the one that changes your future land use. And let's see if I can do this. No. You'd think I'd know how to do that. Okay. So on your future land use map that you have in your packet and also on the screen, it just shows you that the applicant is applying for a piece of property, the subject property, which you see there. It's actually zoned agriculture right now, which is the green color, and you've got industrial zoning and land use to the east, and then across the street, this is State Road 45, and also US 27 and 45. Also known as 250th Street. So you've got the major highway there, and so across is the residential of Newtown and Newberry Corners, I think. The application is just to change the future land use, which is required first before you can change your zoning on the property. So your land use is sort of the master plan for your community and for the land, and then your zoning will come along. That's the next application that you'll consider. This is your second public hearing for each of these, and by adopting an ordinance to approve, in this case, the land use change from agriculture to commercial, which allows the type of use that Mr. Sieber described to you with his top shelf business. And then that kind of thing, once you go through your land use change, you adopt an ordinance, and that, by doing so, it approves the change of land use from agriculture to commercial. In doing so, there's an effective date which has to wait another 31 days after your approval, and the same thing would apply to your rezoning. If you approve this, then you go ahead and approve a rezoning. They'll all wait until that time period, which allows for anyone to any individual who's affected or anyone would like to challenge that, they may do so during that time.
Okay.
So the recommendation from your Planning and Zoning Board and from your staff, and based on your first public hearing on May 22nd, the recommendation is to approve the change in land use.
All right, thank you. Did the applicant hear? Did anyone have any questions for staff? Did the applicant hear anything that you would like to rebut? All right. We'll now open the floor for public comment. Does anyone here have a comment they'd like to make? And would the applicant like to make a closing argument? All right. We'll now close the public hearing, and the commission will enter into deliberations. Would you like to read it into before we make the deliberations? Or
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to do that. This is ordinance number 2017-10, CPA 1701, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an amendment to the future land use plan map of the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan of 10 or less acres of land pursuant to an application by Kurt Sieber as agent for John P. Morehouse, the owner of said acreage, under the small-scale development amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3215 of the Florida statutes, providing for a change in the future land use classification from agriculture to commercial on approximately 2.33 acres located at 975 Northwest State Road 45 within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, tax parcel number 01911-000-000, repealing all ordinances in conflict herein, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2017-10, CPA 1701, upon its second reading by title only.
Did I hear that motion? Motion from Commissioner McGee, second from Commissioner Martin. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to make? Questions? Commissioner Glanzer.
I just want to reiterate what I said at the last meeting. Thank you, Mr. Sieber, for bringing these jobs to Newberry and for having confidence in us and consolidating your Gainesville business and bringing it here. Thank you so much.
We are very excited. All right. Hearing no questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay. We'll move on to item B, which is our second quasi-judicial. Again, this procedure is to ensure that the applicant provides a complete presentation of the request prior to any testimony being provided by the staff. All public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. Procedure we will follow this evening is that we will first hear from the applicant with no time limit. The applicant will then be subject to cross-examination. The staff will enter a staff report in the record and answer questions. The applicant will have the opportunity for rebuttal of any testimony against the application. The floor will then be open for public comment, with each presentation being limited to 5 minutes, and members of the public will have an opportunity to question the applicant or staff. The applicant will then have an opportunity for closing arguments. The public hearing will be closed, and the commission will enter into deliberations. Mr. Attorney, do we need to administer the oath again?
Unless there's somebody else that plans on testifying.
All right. Mr. New?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to clear up one Scrivener's error in the title. The title for this item is First Public Hearing and Second Reading of Ordinance. This is actually the second public hearing and second reading. Just want to get that on the record.
Thank you for that clarification. All right. Would the applicant like to make a presentation? It's your choice. All right.
My name is Kurt Sieber, again, acting as agent for John Morehouse, and I just wanted to let you know how much I really appreciate you taking care of this for us and allowing us to move it forward. All the guys in my business are very, very excited and looking forward to our new facility, so I really appreciate all the help.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Would staff like to enter a report?
Wendy Kinzer. I have been sworn, and the staff report, just like with the comprehensive plan amendment, is entered into the record. The same discussion that we had before. Again, this is the rezoning part that would implement the comprehensive plan land use category that would allow that to proceed. In addition, in this case, you're asking for a change from agriculture to commercial intensive, which would allow this type of use. Just so you know, after this goes through, if you were to approve it, the next step for the gentleman will be to bring before you the site and development plan. So Mr. Sieber will be seeing you again if this is approved, and you'll get to talk more.
It's my favorite part, site and development plans. All right. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Wendy? No? Okay. Did the applicant hear anything that you'd like to rebut? No. All right. We'll now open the floor for public comment. Does anybody from the public like to make a comment? Hearing none. Would the applicant like to make a closing argument? Okay. Public hearing will now be closed. The commission will enter into deliberations. Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 2017-11, LDR 17-03, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the amendment of the official zoning atlas for the rezoning of less than 5% of the total land area of the city pursuant to an application by Kurt Sieber as agent for John P. Morehouse, the owner of the acreage, amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, providing for rezoning from agricultural A zoning district to commercial intensive CI zoning district on approximately 2.33 acres located at 975 Northwest State Road number 45 within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. Tax parcel number 01911-000-000, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2017-11, LDR 17-03, as read by title only upon second and final reading.
Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Coleman. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, sir. One step now done. We'll see you soon with those site and development plans. Okay, now we'll move on to item C, the legislative public hearing and first reading of ordinance 2017-02. And I believe Brian's going to make a presentation for us on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the April 24th, 2017 commission meeting, which was the first commission meeting after the election of the new officers, the new commissioners, our new mayor requested that the staff go back and look into creating a draft ordinance that would change the composition of the Planning and Zoning Board slightly. And so that's what we've done. What this draft ordinance does for us is it currently, and in the packet you can see it's got the red underline and strike through if you want to compare the original ordinance with the amendments. But basically, in a nutshell, right now we have 5 appointed members, but one of those 5 members that's also a voting member is the sitting mayor. And so the request was to make the mayor's ex officio position into an ex officio non-voting position, and then add an actual appointed resident to sit on the board, which would be the 5th odd number, so that you would have your odd number of voting members of the Planning and Zoning Board. In addition to that, based on advice from the City Attorney's Office, we also took out the language that said that the mayor could appoint an alternate from the City Commission, because that could ultimately end up with kind of an awkward situation where you have somebody who's voting or hearing the Planning and Zoning and participating in that, and then also coming back to vote on in the City Commission realm. And so that change was made as well.
All right. So, any questions about this? Pretty much just kind of cleans it up a little bit, prevents any potential double dipping. Okay. So, do I hear a motion to approve? Mr. Attorney, you want to read that?
Yes, sir. This is ordinance number 2017-12, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending the text of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, amending Section 3.1 entitled Planning and Zoning Board to amend the composition of the Planning and Zoning Board to change the voting status of the ex officio mayoral position, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2017-12 upon its reading by title only.
All right. I hope there we go. Now we can hear. I hope the recorder got that. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution as read? The ordinance as read.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Coleman and a second by Commissioner Martin. All those in McGehee? Motion by Commissioner McGehee, second by Commissioner. I just have the ringing in my ear. Sorry. Do I hear all those in favor signify by saying aye? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Item D is legislative public hearing, first reading of ordinance 2017-13, and I believe Mike will lead us through this one.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we're just kind of we're distributing the workload today, keep everybody on their toes. This is similar to the item that Brian just took us through last meeting when we were discussing boards and committees. In addition to the changes with the Planning and Zoning Board that we just considered, the Commission gave staff direction to sunset and disband certain committees that had been created by resolution, to abolish another committee that had been created by ordinance, and then begin filling the board positions. So we have before you 3 separate things for consideration. The first is Resolution 2715, which will sunset and disband both the RFP Committee and the Community Action Advisory Committee. After that is completed, we'd ask the City Commission by separate motion to pass on first reading Ordinance 2713, abolishing the Public Works Advisory Board. The differential is how those boards were created. One was created by ordinance, the other 2 by resolution. And then finally, request that once we begin filling those board positions, historically the city has solicited applications for people that are interested in serving. We present those applications to the board for consideration, and the board selects the applicants through a ranking type procedure. Staff did some research and found out that is the primary way that cities and counties select board members. But there is an alternate way that we found that we thought we should present before we go through an application process and really start hitting it hard. In some communities, the board itself, each elected official is responsible for finding a board member to sit on each board, the recreation board or the tree board, things of that nature. And that person's term runs concurrent with the elected official's term. So in this case, Commissioner Martin or Commissioner Glanzer would go out, solicit folks that they think would represent their interest on these boards, and submit them at a meeting and say, and of course find out if that person's willing to serve, but then submit them as their board member representing them for these different boards and committees. So before we go through an application process similar to what we've done historically, just wanted to get some feedback from the commission if they want to continue doing it as we have historically, or if they would like to consider a change in how they fill these board positions.
Can we deal with the motions first, and then we can have the conversation about how we want to appoint that? So the first motion is for the 2715, a resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, disbanding the RFP-RFQ committee previously established by City Commission by Resolution 0611. Is that it? Do we need to read anything else into that?
It sunsets and disbands two committees.
Two committees.
The Community Action Advisory Committee and the RFP/RFQ Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and read that by title only if you'd like. This will be a resolution 2017-15 of the City of Newberry, Florida. A resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, disbanding the RFP-RFQ Committee previously established by the City Commission by the resolution 06-11, and disbanding the Community Action Advisory Committee previously established by the City Commission via Resolution 18-14, repealing all resolutions in conflict. You want me to try this? Okay, we'll try that. Repealing all resolutions in conflict and establishing an effective date. Appropriate motion is pass Resolution 2017-15 as read by title only.
Are there any questions, comments about that? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner McGehee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Question? We have one more first. I know we got them out of order, but next, can we have a motion on the legislative public hearing and first reading of ordinance 2017-13? And Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 2017-13, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending Chapter 98, Article 2 of Sections 98-31 through 98-33, adopted by ordinance to abolish the advisory board, providing for codification of same, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2017-13 as read by title only.
Any questions or comments about Resolution 2017-13? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Glanzer and a second by Commissioner Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. All right, now we'll open the floor for a conversation on how do we want to go about.
Well,
Commissioner
I
Glanzer?
had two comments. One was about that. I'm in favor. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Amy, for the immediate emergency microphone service.
First, I want to talk about the method, and I think the way we do it is fine. And the reason is that doesn't preclude us going out anyway and finding people that we think could serve, that are interested in those things that we are. If we do it the other way, it might leave some people out. So I'm in favor of leaving it the way we have it. And the second thing was, Mr. Manager, did you say that we were going to have a staff person assigned to each committee now so that we could ensure, more cohesiveness and making sure we get meetings scheduled?
Yes, ma'am, you're correct. We will absolutely have a staff liaison designated for each committee to make sure that it stays on point, that all the administrative functions are taken care of.
All right, I have one commissioner in favor of leaving it the same. Commissioner Martin?
I would actually like to see some kind of a spreadsheet showing where we actually have absence right at the moment. Maybe just get a roll-up of where we've got holes at the moment.
I think that'll come when we get to that point of assigning stuff.
Every board, with the exception of the Planning and Zoning Board, has sunset. Now, and each one of those boards and committees has a carry-forward provision that until the commission takes action,
okay,
then the sitting board will continue. But when we move forward, we're going to be soliciting applications for every board.
Somehow we missed this step last year.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I don't know how that happened, but
I mean, I'm fine leaving it the way it is, as Commissioner Glanzer mentioned. If we have somebody that's of interest, we can always send them through the application process.
I've got head nods. Any other comments? Okay, so I think staff has the direction. We'll leave it
Absolutely.
the way it is and try to get applications. Okay, agenda items. City maintenance of county road maintenance. I think Mike is going to lead us
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
through this potentially lengthy conversation.
This is a potentially lengthy conversation. I think I'll move to the podium. We have a PowerPoint presentation.
I'd say while you're doing that, we've had staff working on this, I think, at this point for 2 years to make this presentation for us, and they've done a lot of legwork.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this has been something. Staff identified this more than 2 years ago as an issue, that the city has been maintaining roads for the county through an interlocal agreement, and which started out as a little over 2 miles of roads that the city maintained for the county and a little over 2 miles of city roads that the county maintained for us. Over time, in a period of 6 or 7 amendments to that interlocal agreement, wound up with the city maintaining a disproportionate share of county roadway by 6 or 7-fold. So the county still maintains 2 miles or so of city streets, and the city maintains, it's arguable, the city maintains 13 to 22 miles of county roads. We're working on what that exact figure is. And the reason that there is a discrepancy is that no one debates that at one point all of these roads were county roads. And no one debates that at some time in history, some of those roads were transferred to the city. But there is debate over which roads have actually been transferred to the city, and it's not such an easy process to figure out. The city of Newberry, we searched all of our records to find transactions, and these roads get dedicated to the city. There has to be a deed, a transfer that should be in the public record. So we exhausted our records to see what transfers that we were aware of, and then we kind of put the onus on the county with, if you tell us that that road is now transferred to the city, surely you can provide evidence of such somewhere in public record, and we can look that up. And so for a long time, the county could provide none of that record. Recently, the county provided us with a lot of deeds. And those deeds, we are now, they're all legal descriptions. No maps, just legal descriptions. So you can't readily look at it and see what that means. But we've got them to a land surveyor who's now transcribing the legal descriptions into maps so that we can figure out what has been properly conveyed to the city and what has not been properly conveyed to the city. And I would mention that prior to a law that the Florida legislature passed in 1995, the county could just transfer the road to the city. They could just pass a resolution, and the road was transferred to the city, and there was nothing that the city could do about it. It was kind of a unilateral transfer. They had to have some justification, but normally that would, well, you annex some property that touches that road, so now it's your road. In 1995, the Florida legislature passed a law that says the only time agencies can transfer ownership of a roadway is by mutual agreement. So now anything after 1995, those deeds should be signed by both the county and countersigned by the city saying, yes, we indeed received that, and then it would be filed into the official public record.
Mr. New, what was the form of the original agreement for the trade-out? Was that an actual contract? Was it an email, a handshake? Was it?
It's an agreement. It's an interlocal agreement that was properly executed. The original one was in 1992, and then there have been, I don't recall, it's 6 or 7 amendments to that interlocal agreement. And I should have said from the beginning, tonight's presentation is for your information, for discussion purposes. The city's not requesting, the staff's not requesting any action. This issue is going to come up on our joint meeting with Alachua County, and we wanted to make sure that you really understood the issue that was driving this, so that once discussion begins occurring with County Commission, you'll kind of know where things are. So with that, like I said, there were the interlocals are in your backup. They date back to 1992. They were amended 7 times. One of the unique things about the interlocal agreement is that that Florida statute says that if a municipality or a county government maintains a road for a period of time, it's either 4 or 9 years, depending on certain circumstances, then they assume ownership of that road. And so the county staff initially said, well, you've been maintaining it more than 9 years, it's your road. Our legal interpretation is that this agreement actually protects us from that. This agreement has a 30-day notice that we can get out. So we didn't, it wasn't adverse possession, which we took over the road maintenance and began, and now that we just own it because we maintained it. By agreement, we agreed that we would provide certain maintenance functions, but by agreement, we just said we could give it back with 30 days written notice. And so I think there's a distinction there. It hasn't been run up the flagpole with the city attorney or the county attorney in terms of their official negotiation, but we've discussed it with Scott and his staff, and we feel pretty strongly that the county can't just say, well, you've been maintaining them for 9 years. We received an email last week that suggested that if a city had been maintaining a road for a period of time, then it was responsible for it. Y'all may have received it. It came to y'all. And one of my responses to that person was roads that we have an interlocal agreement that also have an out, we do not feel that legally that law that says that the city would then become the responsible party applies to us. So just a little bit of a background there. So the agreement says that the roads will be maintained at the county's level of service. The county provides a lower level of service for roadway maintenance than we do. We grade our roads every 2 to 3 weeks. And as elected officials in Newberry, you know that if we miss that road grading maintenance by 1 day, you'll all be emailed personally by several hundred residents. So we are very diligent about our 3-week maintenance cycle. The county is on a 6 to 9 week grading cycle. They have a lot more roads. It's no shame on the county, and actually their maintenance cycle is the industry average. Statewide, that's the industry average. Newberry Road Department definitely provides a higher level of service on unpaved roads. But our interlocal says we'll maintain it at least their level. So our position has always been that that we maintain it at the county's level of service to comply with the agreement, and then we maintain it at a higher level of service because our residents live on that road. They're taxpayers into the city of Newberry. That's the level of service they'd like, and we've received direction from the commission that that's the level of service that the commission would like to see them get. So we've determined that our cost to maintain those roads at the county's level of service is $3,200 a mile for road grading. That excludes Lime Rock addition to build the road service back up, and it's $420 per mile for mowing maintenance, for mowing the right-of-ways. So a total of $3,600 per mile per year to maintain the roads for the county. County wrote a report in 2006, and their cost to maintain unpaved roads ranges just a little bit. It's a 300% range, but we fall kind of dead in the middle of their 300% range. Forgive me. Here's the Florida law that relates to road transfers. Very much protects the city of Newberry, and just highlighting the parts of that law that are applicable to us. That last piece there states that public roads may be transferred only by mutual agreement. That was a very good law for the city of Newberry and the other cities in Alachua County. So we have disagreement. Here's a map. On the left side shows the roads that the city believes are to be county maintained and city maintained, and you don't worry about that. I'll do a little better job. The map on the right is the county's take on it all. So we've been spending 1.5 years, 2 years trying to muddle through
who owns these roads. So for comparison, we took the county's map, and we'll just tell you that we agree with the ownership on some of them. All of those with green check marks, we agree with the county's take on who owns and is responsible for the maintenance. But we disagree on others, and all of these with red dots are road segments that we disagree with them on. So there's Holder Grade was the first one that came up. That's Southwest 15th, and I don't know all these. Now I'm on Southwest 30th. No, that's Southwest 46th. And then our favorite, everyone's favorite, Watermelon Pond Road. The county wants us to own half of that. We disagree. We have not found the document transferring ownership of that roadway to the city. So that's the disagreement. Again, I've mentioned that the county gave us a bunch of deeds. Before the county meeting, we're supposed to have those roadway segments mapped so that we'll have a little better handle on it. Hopefully the list of discrepancies will be narrowed down. Now, I understand that, that you will recall, I guess I'd say you will recall that the county has agreed to chip seal some roads, 5 roads in our community. 2 of those roads are actually, they're going to do 5 road segments, 8.5 miles. 2 of those road segments are covered by this interlocal. So that's 4 miles out of the 8.5 miles. The Southwest 202nd, which is a 3-mile stretch heading south from State Road 26, and that is Southwest 226. That's a 1-mile road segment. The other roadway segments that the county is chip sealing is Southwest 62nd Avenue. That is not part of this agreement. That is a county road, and we all agree on that. The other 2 segments are further north. One's Northwest 94th Avenue, and one is Northwest 266th Street. So our understanding, county staff hasn't just come out and told us their game plan. We were working on this, and then we got an email. So we're working on this, who owns the road, and then we got an email that says, by the way, we're going to consider chip sealing some of the roads. So I think there's an inference there from the county that chip sealing these roads is solving this problem. And staff's response to that, my response to that is possibly, but it's going to take some communication between both of us, some negotiations, and then we'll present you with something. I was speaking with one of our elected officials today about the question of if the county would chip seal all of those roads, would we take them or should we take them? And the answer to that, like all the answers you get from staff, is well, that depends, nice and clear. But the thing I would point out to you is that county staff will tell you clearly, in their written documentation, chip sealing is no substitute for paving. They consider chip sealing to be a treatment much like an unpaved road treatment, and because it doesn't involve any sub-base stabilization or building of sub-base. And if you are going to pave a road, there's a lot of subgrade work. You undercut if you have bad materials. You have 8 inches of lime rock base and then 1.25 inches of asphalt. So the treatment that the county is proposing, the chip seal, which is a nice treatment, I'm the first one to say that, is it's not even half of a paving job. It's probably 1/3 to 1/4. So does that mean we shouldn't take them if they offer? And I would say no, sir, no, ma'am, no, sir. It depends. So I think that there's a lot to be ferreted out, but I think at this point, after 2 years of negotiating with the county, it's time to get it on the radar for our elected officials and let them have a say. What our staff has consistently asked the county to do is, whatever the differential is, whether it's 8 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, let's just multiply it times $3,600 a mile, and the county pay us for that service. Let's just agree upon the rate, and we can put that into our budget. So we ask them for fiscal year 15 budget, got nowhere. We've asked them for fiscal year 16 budget, got nowhere. Now we're into fiscal 17 year budget. That is my sense of urgency, is to get the issue resolved before those budgets are finalized, so that we can count on that income or not, and so they can program in that expenditure or not. And if it comes to the point of us giving notice to say, well, fine, then we can't continue to subsidize the county and maintain their roads on our taxpayers' dollars, then we could provide that 30-day notice that the contract affords. So
Mike.
that concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Can you, before you conclude, can you ideologically explain to the audience why these aren't City of Newberry roads? You've given us the legal answer, but in my communications with county elected officials, there's a certain level of frustration because they say, well, look, you guys annexed in this territory. You wanted it to be the City of Newberry. Why are you shirking the responsibility of taking care of the roads? And it's not an implication that they've chip sealed those roads because of these conversations. That's their feel. I mean, they really feel like, hey, we just chip sealed 5 of your roads, and they use that language, 5 of your roads, which shows a misunderstanding. But can you tell us and for the audience why, if this is in the City of Newberry, what's the difference between a city road and a county road?
Well, typically, the higher you go up the level of government, the higher the road capacity of a road. So for a local street, typically cities and counties have local streets. You don't see that at the state or federal level. Then the next size road would be some sort of a collector. There's many minor collectors and major collectors, road that will transport people through a community. An example of a road that could be classified as a major collector would be Southwest 46. Right now it's pretty rural, but from the terminus to the end point of that road, it starts outside of our city limits, it terminates outside of our city limits, it's got the roadway capacity to transport people that are coming from Levy County and Bronson area into the Jonesville area. I would say that collector streets that are transporting people through our community would stay county roads.
So the more regional impact.
The more
road
regional
has.
impact.
So the state of Florida doesn't come to us and say, hey, Newberry Road runs through Newberry. Y'all take care of Newberry Road.
That was going to be my example exactly. When we annex property around State Road 26, the state doesn't come to us and say, hey, you need to start taking care of that road. Okay. And the state abides by that legislature. The state does get out of the road business from time to time. An example would be the state sometimes builds service roads adjacent. When an interstate cuts through a community and it cuts off people's access to their property, the state may build a local road to act as a service road for that community. The state would then understand that they've got to properly transfer that road to the local community, or they'll be maintaining it forever. And I can think of half a dozen state-owned local roads in our region that they've not been able to successfully transfer. And I would tell you that, in all candor, that the transfer of these roads likely can become political. They can be a component of a urban services agreement where we say we need to annex everything inside of this box through an interlocal agreement. It's not going to be through a vote. It'll be through an interlocal agreement. We need both boards to agree to that, and the county commission could counter and say, that's fine with us. We're not going to contest any of those annexations, but you're going to have to take over all the streets, all the local streets, A, B, C, D, and E.
Commissioner Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would think that our effort here would be to try to come to some kind of compromise with them. Is there an effort you think that can be had with coupling that with some sort of annexation process? Because
Absolutely.
particularly like the 226 segment there is all county, but it's completely surrounded by I'm sorry, all county,
Yeah.
but it's completely surrounded by the city stuff.
Absolutely. That it could and should be negotiated. For us, it was this 2-year venture, and the county staff's response to us, well, you annex the property, it means you get the road. Well, that sounds nice and it sounds logical, but it doesn't comply with state law. And so, when a developer builds a nice subdivision in this town and they want to convey a road to us, we require them to build it to a certain standard, and we go out and inspect it, and once it meets that standard, we accept ownership of it and maintenance responsibilities, because it's just flat out expensive to maintain roads. And
Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly a very simplistic approach that, yeah, doesn't pass the test for doing that. What would be your target as we approach this? Because I envision the county commissioners coming in here and having zero edification on this at all, and we've spent all this time on it. We're going to be a little ahead of the game on them, but what do you envision as kind of being a sort of finish line to resolve this?
I'm hoping that we can get into discussions about either we agree and we'll pay the maintenance rate going forward, as long as there's a differential. If we want to talk about transfer, I think then we'll begin a negotiating process of we'll accept them transferred to us under certain conditions. We'll negotiate the best deal we can, and we'll discuss it with you guys, present it to you, and see if it holds water. It may be chip seal if it's tied to other concessions on the county. It may be straight up paving. We would have to see, or it may be a little bit of both. We may decide that this road is a local street. It fits into the city's inventory. We'll take it as is. This street is going to be a collector. We're not accepting it under any conditions, and the ones in between get chip sealed or paved.
And what do you expect their retort to be, or their position going into it? Do you feel like there's even mutual
I can speak
desire?
to the elected officials' response. I'll let Mike speak to the staff's response. I've had 3 lengthy conversations with 3 different of the county officials who will be sitting. So those 3 should be, I didn't obviously have the exact numbers, but the gist of, hey, we take care of the cost at a higher level of service. We at least want the level of service that you would, and that's where the level of frustration is in terms of the ideological understanding of what a road is. And all 3 of them have the same frustration because they're dealing with it with multiple cities in the county. That all the cities in the county are coming to them saying, we want you to do this for this road, this for this road, and they've all annexed in area, and that the county elected officials are seeming to take the stance of, once you annex in the area, you annex in the roads, and you have to be responsible for that. Now, I've offered the rebuttal of these are collector roads, these are regional impact roads. You know, the arguments that have been made here tonight, and for 2 of them anyway, that did seem to have an opening for a conversation. So I don't think we'll be starting at scratch with the elected officials, but staff has been trying to work with their staff for 2 years to not much avail.
Well, and that's a positive step at least. And I mean, it's hard to argue with that argument that they have, but if it's just not the way it works, then that's just not the way it works, and we've got to come to some other agreement. I like the direction that you're going. Hopefully, we'll get somewhere.
Sure.
With it.
I wish it were going faster.
Commissioner Glanzer?
I would say all roads are not created equal, like you said. I mean, some could deal with chip sealing. I mean, we've done 15th has been chip sealed, and I think it's been a great alternative to the dusty road. And I think if we ask our citizens, would you rather have chip seal or the dirt road? I mean, I think they would rather have, even though it's not, with the bedrock and all that, it's at least paved and it's not, washboard. So I don't know if you could do some chip seal and, keep them to the higher standard on the other ones, but that's my idea.
Commissioner Martin?
Commissioner Coleman, is there a valuation difference that a property owner realizes on a lime rock versus a chip seal versus a paved road? And can you speak to that? Because I could foresee that potentially as a discussion item as well. If they're not in the 8,700 tax parcel, that improvement of the tax base goes directly to the county versus coming to us to help offset those expenses.
Are you speaking on a county appraisal, or are you speaking on a private appraisal?
Regrettably, I don't know the difference.
There's a big difference.
Okay. Well, speak to that too then, I guess.
On a county, that's not going to come into play, but on a private appraisal, if it's a dirt road, then you are, on a private appraisal, most of the time you're looking at chip and seal and paved roads. They look at it the same, but on the lime rock roads, you are going to have some type of reduction in the appraised value. Is that what you were asking me?
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So if you're appraising it for the tax rolls versus you're appraising it for a sale between two parties. Okay. So there is not necessarily an upgrade, but there's a downgrade for the Lime Rock?
Well, yeah, it's just that, that's why, if you notice when you get an appraisal from a bank, they have you have the street scene. They want to know, is it a paved road or if it's a lime rock road? And you are going to have reductions from that when they appraise it.
So that would affect the county
but it's not
tax appraisal, but very indirectly and not a one-for-one, really.
It's not going to affect our tax roll either way. On that.
I think our city manager has something to insert here.
That brought up a really good point. We get a lot of requests from residents to pave our roads. Y'all hear them as much as we do. And I constantly report to those residents kind of a premise in road maintenance is that the city's responsibility or any local government's responsibility is maintain roadways in the condition in which they were conveyed to us. So if a new developer gives us a paved road, we spend their tax dollars to maintain a paved road. And if the developer or the city acquires unpaved roads, we spend their tax dollars to make them unpaved because that improvement, those properties that front paved streets, the value of that paved street has been rolled into their property cost. The developer divides the cost for the infrastructure into the lot cost when he's building a subdivision. And the premise is that it's not right for all citizens to pay for road improvements that benefit certain residents. Now, there are some exceptions to that, and so we've offered to do assessments. If you can get all the property owners on a dirt road to raise their hands and say they'll do a 10 or 20-year tax assessment to pay for the road, we'll go do it. But what governments often do is do some sort of negotiated thing. Governments will say, well, it's cheaper for us to maintain paved roads than unpaved roads, so how about this, tax property owners? 50% of the cost is on the taxpayers because that's a net present value wash to us over what it would be costing us to maintain an unpaved road. But you guys do an assessment for the other 50%. So in this issue with the county, when you say where can we get with that, we could get to a one-third type of assessment where the city of Newberry pays to pay 1/3 of the cost to pave a road. The county agrees to pay 1/3, and we do an assessment for the property owners that front a road to do another third. That's an alternative. Hadn't gotten there with the county. We have been dealing with the annexation does not convey ownership of a road to a city, so we're just down to who legally owns the roads, and once we get that established, then we'll start negotiating how we're going to move it forward.
Any other comments? I would say that for me, the target at that joint meeting is to simply successfully get across the concept of roads that have regional countywide impact are county roads and should be maintained by the county. I think our staff has been stonewalled a little bit by their staff in terms of getting to the elected officials. And I think that's where you guys come in privately and at that meeting saying, look, we are willing to maintain roads that are for our citizens, but roads that are for countywide citizens, you guys need to do your responsibility. So if we can make that mental leap, then I believe we can get their elected officials to direct staff. Because that seems to me always to be the challenge with the county, is you really have to get their board as a board to look at the staff in the eye and say, do this. And that's the challenge that we're at. I think if we can get that, I think it is as well. And it did have some impact with my conversations. Yeah, Commissioner Coleman.
This is directed to Mike. I know 46 is pretty much, we agreed on 46, right?
No, sir.
We
No.
didn't agree on it.
It is not.
And do you know what, like, the percentage that touches 46 that is not city properties?
We do not. We do not. And I guess, staff's perspective on something like that is the county's getting 8, 9 mils of tax dollars. We're getting almost 6 mils. The county gets the lion's share of gas tax to maintain roads. We get pennies on the dollar.
Right.
So, and that's another point. We could negotiate a higher gas tax rate to maintain roads for the county. There's plenty of opportunities. We got to get them to recognize that we are maintaining their roads, I think is an important step. And there's some resolve to not continue to do it into perpetuity.
I would ask that if we could have a map, maybe it's a little bit zoned in more, with a dollar figure associated to that road, maybe the number of residents associated to that road, and if this board is resolved that we can no longer afford to maintain county roads, then we can have that for publication, for social media, so that everybody's very clear on which roads are county roads, which roads may see a deduction in service level, and that's a county decision, because we know we're the front line, so we need to have the information very
absolutely
readily and say, these are the roads that we've been maintaining for the county at X factor of your tax dollars for the past 20 years. We can't afford to do it anymore, and the county's refusing to take care of it. And here's a list of their phone numbers so that you can call them if you're not happy with that situation.
We do that, though, we might have to change venues for this meeting because there's a lot of residents.
Well, and I think that's another.
I hope they show up.
Right.
I hope they show up for that.
I think that's if we can get those folks here, so that they can see the faces of their residents as well, then we might have a little bit more chance of success. Okay. Any other comment on this? We're not voting on this. It's
just for information.
For the next, which Mike's going to stay there, or he's going to have Travis come down. I've been asking for the Kincaid building especially to be brought. You guys may have as well, solely under the argument that if that was a privately owned, we would be putting a lot of pressure on them to do something about that building. So I think we have to step up and figure out what we're going to do about that building. Travis is going to lead us in this presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'm here tonight to present on the Kincaid building, like we said, and other city buildings that we have on Newberry Road, as we're looking to develop a long-term plan for facilities in the downtown district, particularly as it relates to the administrative side. As you'll see, I have a small list of the 6 buildings. We'll start real quick. We'll go through them. City Hall, constructed in 1992, 3,000 square feet, consists mainly of administrative offices. Municipal building, a little older, 1937, about 4,000 square feet, and it's our civic event center, mainly rentals. The Kincaid building, 1900, maybe just a little before, 2,400 square feet, vacant, and structurally inhabitable. Annex building, constructed in 1960, about 900 square feet, again, mainly administrative offices. Utility Director's Office, built in 1913, used to be an old fire station, but it was, I believe, just a garage that we turned into an office building. Currently, it's vacant. It has one large office, holds our computer files and some server equipment. Lastly, the Firehouse Gallery, again, 1913. They share a common wall. Size is 2,000 square feet, and it's a culture center / record storage. Mr. Coleman.
Yeah, when did we buy the Kincaid?
Is your mic on?
We acquired it in 2008.
2008?
Yes, sir.
Why did we buy it?
You're getting into the longer conversation.
Hey, you like that. Why did we buy that? I mean, we can't use it. Did we buy it when
You
it
want me to
was
answer that?
Yes,
still
please.
because that was before my time.
Well, and Commissioner Farnsworth could tell you more about it because he was part of that. I was in the audience in that vote. There was 2 or 3 main ideas that were floated around. There were going to be offices for city commissioners. There were going to be more administrative offices for the city. We were going to restore it to its previous. The argument that seemed to win over the commission was that there was going to be space set aside for the commissioners to have offices there as well. I believe the purchase price was about 150, 155.
152.
Yeah. So that was the reason. It had been on the market for a long time. No one had bought, no one had bid on it, and the commission at the time, seeing that we needed to grow eventually, thought that would be a good spot.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't remember the vote, but it obviously passed.
All right, so just a brief map. City Hall, the Municipal Building, and Kincaid Building, all north of Newberry Road, and the Annex Building, Utility Director's Office Building, and the Firehouse Gallery is on the south side. First, we'll talk about the Kincaid Building. Again, just the dates that we talked about. It's 2-story. For those of you who haven't been in there, there's a small staircase, and it goes up to a loft. It's enclosed. Again, acquired in 2008. About 3,500 square feet. It was leased to Newberry's Main Street organization in 2008, mutually terminated in 2016. We have done a survey for asbestos, and it came back positive on the exterior siding and some linoleum flooring. The flooring, as well as the material that was put down with the glue, both contained it. The abatement cost, we had a company come out, asked them how much to get rid of it, approximately $4,500. We also did a structural analysis on it, and we had Driscoll Engineering come out. He toured it. We took a look at everything inside and out, and he said that over 50% of the structural elements were deemed dangerous, which he actually said more than that, but 50% is the number, but he said it was considerably higher than that. Had pest control guy come out. He looked at it. Doesn't have termites now that he could tell, but it did have subterranean and dry wood termites at one point. All right. Next is the Annex Building. It's right across the street. Again, constructed in 1960, CMU block construction. Acquired in 1980, 900 square feet. We recently re-roofed it in 2014, replaced the windows in 2015. It, again, has some asbestos, the ceiling tiles. Currently, they're just untouched, so it's not a problem. There's no hot water. Has some electrical deficiencies. I believe there's grounding issues, and a concern for HVAC ductwork cleanliness. Next is the Utility Director's Office. That, again, is across the street. Constructed circa 1913. CMU block construction, brick veneer. It was acquired in 1980 and 540 square feet. Shares the common wall with the Firehouse Gallery. It was re-roofed in 2016 because we determined that there was mold in the building, and we had to get the administrative, we had to remove it. We had to remove the people that were in there, out of there, so that we could remediate. And I believe we determined 2 things. A, that the roof was causing it to get mold. The scuppers had water coming in around. It was just an old roof. That was one problem. The second problem is the garage. It used to be a garage, so the floor lacks a moisture barrier, so it comes through the floor and then gets to the carpet and creates a condition. And it provides a space for the city's fiber optics hub and the server equipment. Currently, no one's in there.
What do we currently have as the floor material in that building?
It's carpet.
It is carpet. Okay.
We haven't done anything since the remediation, just as we're trying to figure out what's our next step for the building.
Red guard it.
All right. Next is Firehouse Gallery. and it does share the common wall with the utility office. And it was constructed circa 1913, again, CMU block with brick veneer. Acquired in 1980, 2,000 square feet, and it is consists of office space for the Newberry's Main Street organization, Chamber of Commerce, and the Newberry Firehouse Art Gallery and Studio. And it also is storage space for our municipal records. We have a small spot in the back. It does have a new roof. No, it does not. Apparently there's a new roof.
Travis, you said the abatement for the Kincaid building was $4,500.
$4,500.
Do you have an estimate to if this commission decides to just demolish the entire structure?
Yes, sir. I called somebody and we discussed it at length, and approximately $3 a square foot to come in and demolish it. So that was around $10,000 total. With that said, we talked about an option of having someone come in. You know, there's companies out there that will come in and they'll take the stuff that's usable. You know, it's an old building and reuse. He mentioned that, just real quick, I mean, he said that the reason, I thought it would be cheaper if we can get somebody to come in, take what's good, and then have them come in and demo. He said that is kind of iffy if that's going to be a cost savings, because here it's so cheap for them to dump in a landfill, like in the south. So he said a lot of times it's so much work for them to come out and do that, it usually costs more in labor.
Okay.
So, but that's an option to explore.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman? Sorry. Commissioner. They worked it out.
So 4,500 to get rid of the
15,000.
4,500 though to get rid of the
Yes, sir.
cancer causing.
That's right.
And then the rest. So then we have a front end loader.
I mean, that's an
Maybe
option to
We don't
explore.
have the manpower, but once the asbestos is gone, right, we can go in there and just.
I believe. I mean, I haven't looked into that as far as what we can do as a city, or if we have to have somebody actually come in permitting-wise to do it. I don't know.
Fire department control burn.
I don't know that I would do that downtown Newberry, but front end loader and a sprinkler system. That's
It's definitely an option to explore. I mean, again, $10,000 roughly for them to come in.
Mr. Mayor.
How's Commissioner McGee? Has been waiting patiently.
No, actually, you kind of stole my thunder. So, well, I gave it to you though. No, I was actually going to ask you about that if we'd looked into, you know, the possibility, because I know you know how to run a track go with a thumb.
I do.
And I know how to run if I could do it, but I don't know. It's just that was just something I thought of.
Commissioner Martin.
Does the 10,000 include the 4,500?
No, sir. 10,000, then plus the 4,500 to abate it. We'll have them come in first, and then once they clear it, then we'd proceed with the demolition.
What is, because we would still own the dirt at least.
Yes, we would. We would.
Okay.
That's when we would start talking about what's the next step as far as property surplus, you know, sale of the property.
Mr. New.
I was just going to offer a couple of things. Soliciting bids is pretty cheap, almost free. If we're going to tear a building down with city forces, we would definitely have to do it right because of the liability associated. If we get someone out there hurt and we're not a properly trained demolitions contractor, our liability goes up. We'd also have a nice articulating loader, no doubt, but that's incapable of removing, of dealing with this structure. So we would have to rent a track hoe with a thumb, as you suggested. So there'd be a cost analysis done to see if it was more cost effective for staff to take that building down versus having a qualified contractor take it down. But I think if this board gives direction, the first thing we need, that staff needs in terms of directions, is for it to be declared surplus. If this board can declare it surplus and give staff direction to move forward with getting that facility ready to be disposed of, as in sold, staff will then evaluate alternatives and take the appropriate response to make sure that we get it ready for sale most appropriately.
Commissioner Glanzer, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what would an empty lot in downtown Newberry that has
that was
the
a question I was
cancer
gonna
asbestos
ask you.
removed? What do you
So
think it'd go for?
if you want to tear this down, then you would just sell the vacant lot? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, it's
So
it's
instead
an
of
option.
It's an option.
What do you think? An empty
I mean,
lot?
An empty, I mean, I hate to say it, maybe 40,000, not a whole
Yeah.
lot. I mean, it's just, it's not that big. I just, yeah. So if we tear it down, I mean, I wish we could get somebody to buy it, and it's not rehabitable, though.
It's not uninhabitable.
It is, so.
It's not an option.
We're not going to get our
restore
money
it.
back, I don't think, on this
And
building.
I think that's what this commission has to come to terms with is that not this commission, but a commission decided to buy it, and it's ours now. And I think the willingness to not let go of that $152,000 has kept it sitting there in more decay for over a decade. So we got to pull the trigger and do something, Commissioner Glanzer.
We need parking space. I mean, why would we sell it if we can't make our money back? And 40,000 is, I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not a whole lot of money. Is it worth that to us to get rid of that lot and not develop it ourselves into parking, or
We did just
potentially
lose the biggest parking lot. in town.
And the other thing is, if we're going to have these other 3 buildings as surplus and get rid of those, where are we going to put the things the people that are housed there now? I mean, you got the annex, the utility director's office, and the firehouse. Those have to go somewhere. So if you declare those as surplus, we need to think about that. So if you have a vacant lot across the street, maybe it's something to think about.
Commissioner Martin?
That's how the staff sets us up.
We're getting there.
We're getting a new building later.
And, Mr. Mayor, just to be clear, the staff is not asking for any building to be surplus other than the Kincaid building.
Six and seven
Commissioner Coleman?
firehouse, so I'm definitely against the firehouse.
We have, I think what staff is showing is that we have a lot of buildings that are old and in different states of need, and that our staff level and need is growing in town, and it's that these little buildings around here aren't going to cut it anymore. The Kincaid building is the only one that really needs to be addressed in terms of tearing it down. There's always the option of selling it to someone as it is and asking them to tear it down, but I personally think you would have better expertise here. I think it's a harder sell to sell an uninhabitable building that has to be torn down and has asbestos in it than it is even an empty lot. Commissioner Martin? I'm sorry. Commissioner
Sure,
Glanzer.
Mr. Mayor. My direction would be to move forward with getting asbestos taken care of, and then go ahead and getting the building demolished. If we try to sit around and wait for somebody to buy it, then we are on their timeline of when anything gets done with the building. I think I would rather us have a little bit more control of it. And the bottom line is, like you said, we need to just pull the trigger on this. It's not getting any better, and this is not going to change between now and 10 years from now, as far as I'm concerned.
Commissioner Glanzer?
Well, I'd be not in favor of selling it. I think we should address the problem of the asbestos, and if we have to demolish it, that's good. I mean, we can do that, but
Well,
I would
let's
not
deal with
be in
them as
favor. Okay.
separate
All
issues
right.
first. How many of you, do I hear a motion to actually go ahead and move forward with removing the asbestos and tearing the building down? I have a motion from Commissioner McGehee and a second from Commissioner Coleman. Any more discussion on what to do with the actual building? Hearing Commissioner Coleman? I got a motion and a second. I'm asking for any other comment from this body on the motion on the floor to tear down the building.
One more comment.
Yes?
It is not rehabable. So I
It
want
is
the
not.
public to know that we're not into
We cannot.
destroying historic buildings.
Right.
There's no way you can rehab it. I mean, it's a dead building.
It cannot be saved.
It's in bad shape.
Yeah.
Is there any comment from, I'm sorry, Mr. Dude, did you have a comment on?
Just as a matter of process, to make sure we do this right, that before we could demolish the structure, we would go before the Historic Architectural Review Board, the HARB, and solicit their approval to do that. There's no reason for them to withhold it, but that is a process in our land development regulations, and we would follow that.
Does this motion need to have something about surplusing the building in it first before we can even tear it down?
No.
No.
If the commission
It's ready
isn't
to-
sure that it wants to liquidate the property, then we don't need a motion to surplus. We just need do the asbestos, tear the building down, go to the HARB, Historic Preservation Board, and then we'll come back to this commission to see what disposition it would like to have for the property in the future.
Okay. Do I hear any comments from the audience on the Kincaid building being torn down? Welcome. Don't forget to introduce yourself to the board.
Lisa Denning. I haven't been sworn.
Is your
in, so
microphone on?
I think so.
Okay.
I just want to ask for some clarification because I know I've had different conversations with some of you, most of you. So if you pass what you're motioning and moving toward tonight, then I'm understanding that you don't have any interest in working with a private citizen. I know we've looked a couple of times, and again, I haven't put anything forward to you in writing. I apologize for that. But looking at, it'd be our interest to work with the city and that we would take the building down, and our movement forward would be to try to rebuild something in a simpler structure, but along those same lines, and work with the city to try to, retain some of that historic.
I think what this board is saying is that they would be interested in that, but we don't want to put it on someone else's timeline. We'd like to get rid of the eyesore in a timely fashion, and I think what you're proposing would then require RFP process. It would require there's no way for us to do that in an expeditious manner, and we haven't got to the conversation of what to do with the empty lot afterwards. So all we're thinking about right now is taking it off the private citizens' hands of dealing with the historical board, dealing with the asbestos, dealing with the actual tearing down the building. Then the next conversation will be potentially, I don't think it has to be tonight, but will be what to do with the lot at that point.
Okay. And I have, done a little bit of the homework on it in terms of looking at how, if we would try to work with the city and do something on our end, looking at the liability costs and issues that it would take for us to take the building down. I've gotten some preliminary proposals as well in the neighborhood of some of the things that you've come up with, different companies, same type of information. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the public about? Okay, hearing none, I have a motion to move forward with the abatement and tearing down the building properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Yes, Commissioner McGehee.
Where will we be getting the funding for this from? What will that be coming from? What department?
It's a general fund expenditure. It will be programmed into facilities. There'll be a budget amendment brought back to make all this happen. I think we can probably handle the asbestos removal with our current budget without amendment. I'm not sure about the next segment of it, but the HARB won't meet until July, so we'll be getting things lined up, and we'll get a budget amendment lined up for you to consider as well.
Okay. Would the commission like to spend time tonight discussing, or would everybody like to go back and sleep on what you want to do with an empty lot? No, I don't think anybody needs to vote on it tonight. So I'm not sure that we need to have the public discussion. I think we've dealt with enough tonight, but if anybody has strong thoughts that they'd like to talk about, we certainly can. Commissioner McGehee?
I really think that once we get the building down, I do like the idea of, possibly giving citizens that may be interested in that lot a chance to do an RFP, put it out for RFP. I know that Commissioner Glanzer is in favor of the parking lot, which I do agree that there is a need for it downtown, but if we go with these one-way pairs, that problem could be fixed, alongside that. But I really would like to see possibly some creative ways that citizens could try to revitalize that part of downtown.
Commissioner Glanzer?
I proposed the vacant lot before I heard Ms. Denning talk about building a nice building there for something that would be pleasing for the downtown. So I'm not, saying that's what we have to do with it. Let's think about it, and maybe if someone has a good suggestion like that, I would like to consider that too.
And in the interest of full disclosure, I've spoken with Ms. Denny about her ideas. I'm very much in favor of what she proposes to do. Her timeline is different than what a business that would come in and do something immediately might be. I have also been in communication with someone who would like to do something more immediate there. So I think the main thing is no one wants to deal with that building. So I think if we can handle the building, then the lot now becomes a whole different conversation. And I think we might find multiple parties who are interested in doing something there. So I would suggest, we've done the hard part tonight. We've stopped kicking a decade-old can down the road, and now we can have a chance to kind of think about where to go from here. Is there something else you want us to think about in terms of office space and the need?
As far as the annex is concerned and the utility office, those are two buildings that in the next 5 to 8 years, I know the utility office is vacant now, but it's just one office. And
Travis, is the annex, I don't mean to interrupt you, but is the annex building, can you solve this for me? Is it or is it not on the historical registrar?
It is not.
It is not.
Am I correct, Wendy?
District.
It's part of the historic district, so it's kind of our local register. It's a contributing structure, but it's not, in
So
any of
fewer
these
limitations.
designations, you are able to do as your community wants and as you dictate.
Okay.
I think in the next 5 to 8 years, we're going to definitely outgrow that. Definitely the annex. And, I mean, we don't really have anywhere to put them here at City Hall. I mean, we're at max capacity. So, I mean, I think something we should definitely think about.
Because I've always personally thought that would be the better place for a parking lot. If that building wasn't there and you could pave that, nobody has to cross the road. You've got space over there.
If it was something that we were looking at potentially selling, I mean, it'd be ideal to keep the parking lot that we have there and then just sell the buildings.
Okay.
If that's the direction that you're looking.
So what is it that you're asking us to think about? The future growth of City Hall?
City Hall, future growth of City Hall. What should we do with those two buildings over there?
Well, we purchased the house that was to the north of us back when it must have been in the 90s, and tore that house down with the intention of taking City Hall out that way.
Right.
Is that still sort of what staff is envisioning?
Mr. Mayor, that area is used for stormwater retention, and we would not be able to move forward with construction of impervious surface to the north unless we were willing to take our stormwater somewhere else. I mean, we could use it for an expansion, but staff believes that a City Hall expansion is likely going to go east and south, kind of wrap around the flagpole, not get all the way to the municipal building, but begin to fill in that gap. Staff believes that the next addition here, this building is about 3,100 square feet, that the city will be looking at a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot addition, which is, I think, all you could fit on this campus. And I think if we don't do it in a 5-year period, we're going to get very limited for space. This building doesn't have the foundation to support a second floor on it. So if we're going to make this particular building 2-story, it would involve a foundation process kind of going right around these sidewalls, which I think would just be cost prohibitive. But that doesn't mean that the building, whatever building addition we do to the east, if we go east, couldn't be 2-story. But I would also say that I think that rather than me or Travis or staff trying to guess, that at some point we're going to say, hey, we need that extra 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, and let's have a workshop. Let's get a planning professional to kind of help us take the concept and say this is what we think it would look like that would best suit our campus.
Is that what you're asking for the commission to think about tonight? Is setting that workshop, or?
I just want to put that on the commission's radar.
Okay.
This was actually, the commission asked me about this maybe 12 or 14 months ago, that who's looking down the road at this, and we started looking down the road at it then. My apologies that it took us 14 months to get it on an agenda to initiate the concept with you guys.
You've had nothing else to do. I don't understand. Okay. Commission have any thoughts on that, or now on everyone's radar? Start to mull that over.
Thanks.
Anything else, Travis?
That's all I got.
Okay. Mike, acquisition of land adjacent to Easton. Hopefully this is good news.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I reported at the last City Commission meeting, the city had been in discussions with the adjacent property owner, and that we had offered a price of $9,500 per acre. It's listed at $11,000 per acre for the property adjacent to the ballpark. This is part of the Wild Spaces Public Places grant we have with the county, where we would acquire the joint project where we would acquire 10 acres and construct multi-purpose facilities. So the city floated the number or offered $9,500, and the property owner accepted and transmitted a contract back to us. The contract's been reviewed by the city attorney's office and maybe another real estate professional that is an elected official with the city. Both indicate that it looks like it's the type of contract that the city could enter into without getting itself into problems. And so staff requests authorization to execute those contracts and move the acquisition forward. We don't know the exact acreage, which is why I don't know the exact price. We've agreed to $95 per acre. We have a survey that will begin tomorrow that will then conclusively draw up the land areas that are proposed. There's a map. There's also a map. It generally is squaring off these triangular pieces of land, and it looks like it's going to be about 10.85 acres more or less. And so I'm available if you have questions. I think this is the third time we brought it to you, but now we're ready to execute a contract if the commission is willing.
Are you looking for a motion tonight?
Absolutely.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mike? I have a motion by Commissioner McGehee. Second by Commissioner Glanzer. Anybody have any further comments or questions about this? Commissioner Martin?
Mike, talk me through your vision of getting in and out of this parcel, kind of what it, reiterate what you wanted to kind of do with it.
We have conceptually been working on our master plan, and what we conceptually have, wonder how, there you go. Laser. There's the laser. So this primary piece of land, we expect the large retention basin that's right here, we expect that that's going to get shifted into this area. We also have the maintenance facility that's right here. We expect to shift in this area, and potentially the RC park. All of those items kind of conflict with the extension of the multi-purpose fields across here, which is the loose master plan is 3 multi-purpose fields right in this region. Stormwater basin moved down to here, maintenance shop moved down to here, and filling in the RC park in the most convenient spot that we can, wherever that is in this region. So access will continue to come down through this way, and the looping of the road will be improved. I mean, we have a looped road now. It'll just be enhanced when we finish expending our Wild Spaces Public Places funding.
That interior road, is that going to kind of go away?
Yes, sir. This interior road presents a safety problem, and so we're going to block it off and make it for only for city vehicles, authorized vehicles on a need-to-be basis. The concept is to have a loop road with parking adjacent to the loop road all the way around, and plenty of parking convenient to whatever field it is that you need to be at. Like we're planning on a parking area right up in here. For these fields, there'll probably be some parking area associated with these multi-purpose fields here. We're planning on moving laser tag to right here, and they will be able to utilize this parking up in here.
Those multi-purpose fields are going to just line up
straight across? Generally. I'd say we're still in concept mode, but generally the multi-purpose fields will go straight across like that. So there's still, and just to point out, the city doesn't own this 60-acre piece right here, but the Water Management District staff, we have a lease to utilize it. It's in keeping with what's on the lease, but the Water Management, we have discussed with the Water Management District staff transferring that parcel to the city. and would put a conservation easement over it, similar to the conservation easement we already have over our 40-acre tract. So we would end up in ownership of that piece as well.
Is that still used for archery?
It is. There's archery. There's what they call their field course here, and we've discussed with Easton. This area up in here is largely unutilized. So the portions of their field course that would be impacted by our multi-purpose fields would be transferred up into this area. And the reason for that is the Water Management District recognizes that if we're going to put in any type of multi-purpose fields, they want it as far away. They want our maintenance shop and our multi-purpose fields as far away from our well field as possible. They do not want to encroach on our well fields because we use fertilizers and herbicides, and they have a prohibition of those types of chemicals in proximity to the drinking water wells.
Any other commissioners with any other questions? Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments about the land acquisition at Easton? Future visions? Okay, hearing none. I have a motion. All in favor of the motion on the table, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Solid waste service contract. I think you're on again, Mike.
Yes, sir.
A lot of spotlight tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you'll notice that we have no representatives from any solid waste companies in the audience, that's because no blackout. We've come so far along that everyone's in complete agreement, and Waste Pro is just tired. They've attended enough public meetings. So you know that we did an RFP process. We got 2 proposals. You asked us to negotiate a contract with Waste Pro for services. You accepted 2 of their alternative offerings, which were, instead of a base 5-year contract, you asked for a base 7-year contract. We did that. You asked us to do the single stream recycling and take a credit of 50 cents a month. We did that. And you also indicated you wanted to continue with biweekly residential service. We did that. The thing that is new in this agreement that you weren't aware of in our last public discussion was that the base bid required everyone to offer new residential 96-gallon toters, because that would give the incumbent an advantage if we didn't require that. And we went into it, staff went into it with a belief that if Waste Pro was the successful incumbent, then we might try to negotiate some sort of a price reduction that we would split with them to better our price, because frankly there's nothing wrong with our toters. We were just trying to achieve an apples-to-apples bidding environment. So, and we were able to negotiate an additional 25 cents a month reduction off of the services that they've offered for both residential and small commercial. So I am pleased to report that our monthly charges to our residents is going to be $14.75 per month, which is down a little more than $5 a month, or a 27% savings. I believe it's 27% savings. Over the next 7 years, potentially extendable to 11 years. This is a 7-year agreement with 2 mutually agree upon 2-year renewals. The way I read the agreement, we can't go beyond 11 years without rebidding it, but we have the ability to go 11 years before that is required. So the pricing is for you. There's a lot of information, and I know you've had information overload from our previous presentations, but I will just suffice it to say that I think the residents of Newberry have as good a deal, better deal than I would have anticipated, and as good a deal as anywhere that's offered in North Central Florida. Waste Pro hugely stepped up. In order to achieve this pricing, they went out and are buying new equipment that can optimize their collection so efficiently that they were able to save on labor. So there should be, I believe it's 4 new trucks that'll be rolling around here in another 60 to 90 days. I believe they've already been ordered. And we're, as you know, we're getting the single-stream recycling carts. Those are 65-gallon carts that our customers are really going to like because they're much more convenient from a customer perspective. So, so we saved a ton of money. We've got a better recycling issue, or a better recycling methodology moving forward. We've got a contractor that invested in brand new equipment, and so that they can be more efficient. I mean, it's just a huge win for us and for Waste Pro.
What about on the commercial side?
There is a savings. It's hard to calculate because the matrix of it depends on how many times a week we'll collect you from 1 to 7 times a week, and we'll collect from 2 to 10 yard dumpsters. So there's a big matrix of those prices, but we saw decreases in all price categories across the board.
Any other questions? Commissioner McGee?
I just wanted to say big thank you to staff. I know that we started off kind of rough with this whole thing, saying, yeah, let's renegotiate, and then, no, just kidding. Let's put it out for bid. Just appreciate all the staff's work and getting this done, and big thank you to Waste Pro for sticking in and not sticking it to us for doing so.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate that. Not only just, obviously, I want to thank staff and all the work that you guys did, but I want to thank the commission. You know, it's a fundamental conservative principle that it never hurts to get people to renegotiate and rebid things. So I appreciate the commission's willingness to do that, and I think our residents have won because of that single decision. A 27% reduction proves that point. And so thanks to Waste Pro, thanks to staff, thanks to the commission. I did have one question about the people living in the city of Newberry who are able to use other vendors. Did we come to a resolution on the franchise fee, the monopoly area?
Well, yes, Mr. Mayor, this is an exclusive contract.
So everybody who's using WCA in the city of Newberry.
Currently, everybody who's using WCA in the city of Newberry is doing so out of compliance with our agreement. The city is not. Waste Pro currently has an exclusive right to collect every bit of garbage in Newberry. So if that is not being followed through on, that's an area that would notice. And
is that Waste Pro's job to go, or is that the city of Newberry's job to go?
I think it's going to be Waste Pro's job to report that to us, but I think the city will then be the one that says, hey, we've agreed to an exclusive agreement. And I know how that works. I know several people that live in the Newberry region but are in unincorporated areas that have been using Waste Pro and got letters 2 weeks ago that said, hey, you're not, you're in a franchised area that's for WCA, and you're going to have to switch your carrier to WCA and begin to play by the rules. So I don't think it'll be, there will be some notification required, and we've discussed with Waste Pro how that would work. We're going to try to do some paper tracking to see who's where. I think an issue for the commission to consider is compulsory collection. And we brought this up more than a year ago, that compulsory collection has proven itself to be the right thing to do because it encourages people to properly dispose of waste. Burning garbage in your yard or burying garbage in your yard is an inappropriate way to get rid of waste, and it does pollute. However, I think one thing that I think based on those discussions that we've been working with the county is of offering the option, if you're outside of our urban collection area, our utility service area, offering the option of the use, paying the county for the use of the transfer stations, which is about $80 a month. I mean, $80 a year. You could subscribe to the county's waste transfer use, or you could subscribe to our curbside service. So that way, no resident is getting that free ride. You know, we spoke earlier about us subsidizing the county. There are residents right now that aren't taking a mandatory offering of solid waste services are being subsidized by our residents and by the county.
Okay. All right. So we need a vote to amend the contract?
No, sir.
We don't?
We have a new agreement.
We have a new agreement?
We need to, the request is to authorize the city manager and the mayor to execute an agreement with Waste for All Florida to be the exclusive provider of residential and non-residential solid waste services in Newberry.
All right. I have Commissioner Martin, a motion, and a second from Commissioner Coleman. All those in, I'm sorry, any comments from the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to the appointment of Florida League Cities voting delegate. I think Commissioner Glanzer would be perfect for that. It'd be wonderful. What does Commissioner Glanzer feel about?
Well, thank you. Actually, I would love to do that. I'm that nerd that loves to go to those things. And about 20 years ago, I had the opportunity to go to one, and I went to all the workshops, and I just loved it. So I would honor that opportunity if you so want to send me. Thank you.
All right. We have a volunteer, Mike. You had anything to add to that?
No, sir. I'm thankful.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Glanzer. Was there anyone else on the dais that wants to nerd out? They are enjoyable. You know, good information. All right. We will move on to comments then. City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to remind all elected officials that their Form 1 statements of financial interest are due to the Supervisor of Elections by July the 3rd. If you haven't received yours, or if you want any assistance in completing it, please feel free. We have a lot of knowledgeable people. I got some assistance in completing mine today by Miss Amy DeLuzio, who's very good at that. So, but July the 3rd is your deadline. There is the state statute that speaks to these does provide a $25 per day penalty for failure to complete it. Next, all of you should have received something that looks like this on the dais. Just want to let you know that all of Newberry's elected officials were invited to the City of Alachua's ribbon cutting ceremony for their Legacy project, Legacy Park. It's a 105-acre tract of land that's adjacent to the Hal Brady Community Center, or Recreation Center. They've completed Phase 1, which is a 40,000 square foot enclosed facility. So that's 4 of our eastern facilities under roof. Pretty substantial facility. So, but like for you to join them in celebrating this milestone, which is Wednesday at 10 a.m. The APPA conference is next week in Orlando. It begins Saturday, and I'm sure everybody's dying to get there on Saturday, spend their weekend there. But I believe a month or so ago, the Mayor Conrad noticed you that I had been selected to receive the APPA 7 Hats Award. The presentation ceremony for that is Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. at the Orlando World Marriott. Just want to let you know that next Tuesday I'll be in Orlando. I won't be in Newberry. And you're welcome to join me if you're interested in attending. Let me know. I'll make sure you get tickets to the into the event. There's an annual conference for FMEA and FMPA. It's held every year, amazingly. But this year it's held in Ponte Vedra, and if any of our elected officials would like to go, the registration is at no cost for first-time attendees, for elected officials, first-time attendees. It's a very good conference, very informative. It's eye-opening in terms of the magnitude of what owning your own electric system is like. It is July the 18th through the 20th. So deadlines for early registration savings are this Friday. So if there's an interest in attending, please let us know by Friday. The Florida League of Cities annual conference is August the 18th and 19th. It's also in Orlando. We just discussed that. Commissioner Glanzer will be attending. If anybody else wishes to attend, please let me know. A reminder that we have a joint meeting with Alachua County on June the 26th. I don't have the start time nailed down. We have an agenda that would lead me to suggest a 6 p.m. start time versus a 7 p.m. start time. I think the county is going to follow our lead, so maybe I can ask.
I think 6 would be a good idea. It's a lot of stuff on the joint, and then we still have our own meeting after that.
We do not have our own meeting
after that. We canceled that because we have so much on that.
I think we have probably comfortably 3 hours worth of discussion with the county.
Well, 3 hours would put us at 10, which is when our used to be anyway, usual realm of length. But I'm not opposed to 6. What's the commission's pleasure?
I would try 6, but I believe last time there were some people running late because of traffic and that sort of
Monty
thing.
usually runs late too. Maybe 6:30. Split the difference.
Ask them. Throw them a olive branch.
Okay, I will. And whatever they come back with, that's what we'll post, and we'll just let you know. All right, so I would say that most of the issues, with the exception of road maintenance, are things that we've discussed before. So hopefully we'll be just providing presentations for people's edification to let them know the status of some current issue, and then and the real dialogue may happen on the road maintenance. Our next budget workshop is scheduled for Wednesday, June 28th, just a short 2 days after our joint meeting. It's we're going to be discussing the general fund, the always fund general fund. That workshop begins at 6 p.m. And we are going to please begin thinking about scheduling a joint workshop with the. Is it a joint workshop with the school board, Brian? Is it school board staff that wants to present, or is it a joint meeting with the school board?
Mr. Mayor, the school board staff would like to actually conduct a workshop and come out and go through the current school concurrency issues that the county's facing, and specific to Newberry as well. And so they're making appointments now with the municipalities to come out and do that.
And Brian, I should have asked you this earlier. Do you think there's an issue with the school board pushing this off until later in the fall when we get out of our hectic budget season, or are they thinking that we should try to do it sooner than that and we'll just work it into our budget workshop schedule?
There's, Mr. Mayor, there is a amendment to the school board interlocal agreement that they're going to be putting out. It's predominantly relative to the elementary school. They're realigning the concurrency service areas from 9 down to 3. Commissioner Martin was at one of those meetings, and so it basically allows the continued development of residential in the western areas, which are the most constrained, but at the same time they're planning ahead for the additional school that's going to come out this way. But they want to go ahead and have those sooner rather than later because they need to get that interlocal agreement and then the amendment through.
So July or August?
July, yes,
July.
That's what they're asking for.
So we're looking for a date in July. I guess we'll have to get the calendar out and we'll just propose some dates. But if you'll be thinking about that, we'll suggest some dates and we'll have Amy start calling and gain some consensus. All right, and that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Attorney? All right, Madam Clerk? All right, thank you. Commissioner Coleman?
Once again, I want to thank Mike on this Waste Pro deal. He's a beast. I mean, I thought that he already beat them down to nothing, but now he even got a little bit more out of them. So that term, can't draw blood from a turnip, is not true when it comes to Mike New, I can tell you. Very good, Mike. The next thing kind of has something to do with that is the roadside parking. This morning, it's kind of ironic. This morning, they were coming through over there. I live in Newberry Oaks, and there were so many cars on the road. And the gentleman that was having to, number one, there was one place there I was watching. I was like, Lord, he's fixed. There were 2 trucks, one on this side, one on this side. And I don't know how he got the garbage truck through there, but and then the poor guy that's having to roll it up there, zigzag in between trucks, or where trucks had parked where they had, I guess, the night before, or I shouldn't say trucks, cars, to get the trash cans out there so he could load it in the garbage truck. we have really got to start looking in it. If a garbage truck, I don't know if it's skinnier than a fire truck, but this is becoming a major problem in a lot of, and I don't know what our zoning is, what it is, but as soon as we get done with budget, we need to get on this. Go ahead. That's it.
Mr. Mayor, that's a great point. We will circle up this week, and we will offer a date by the commission meeting where we will present something for consideration to get firm direction so that we can, this has been an issue at least 2 years. We've done exhaustive amounts of research. We've had Courtney and Jamie and Brian and all of their staffs working on things, but we are going to bring something back to you. As soon as I get some feedback from staff tomorrow, we'll let you know that it is going to be on the agenda by July, August, September. We'll pick a date and we'll make it happen.
Commissioner McGehee.
All right, first of all, happy birthday, Commissioner Martin. I'm sure that this is your kind of thing. You know, you get to enjoy your birthday. I know how much you enjoy. I know. Just wanted to say happy birthday to him. And then the only other thing I had is Mike Spina asked me a couple weeks ago to. He just became the head coach at the high school for the baseball team, and he asked me to help him out. And I haven't done it in about 16 years, but I'm really excited about it. But anyway, so get ready because I'm gonna start hitting you up for some donations because we've got a lot of work. We got a lot of
Commissioner Coleman is very generous.
We got a lot of big ideas as far as enhancements to that park. You know, you hear about people recruiting, and he and I both are of the mindset that the biggest recruiting tool you have is your park and your facilities, and we've seen a couple places where we could really upgrade those facilities because they haven't. I mean, honestly, they haven't been touched since I played there back in the 90s. But anyway, just want to let everybody know that we've already scheduled a golf tournament for Saturday, August the 12th. Registration starts at 7:30 that morning. We'll tee off at 8:30 at Meadowbrook. If you are interested in it, get with me or get with Mike. And we actually have a Facebook page now, Newberry Panthers Baseball. So if you want any more information about it, get with us, or you can find it on the website or on the Facebook page.
Commissioner Martin?
I really just wanted to really highlight the two presentations that Jolene came out and did for us. Those are the types of things that we could probably look over pretty easily, but they are certainly not without a significant amount of work by the two programs that work out of those facilities. And those are really the fruit that is being borne by commissions before us, whether or not we agree with a lot of stuff that they did or not. That is something that they planted years ago that is continuing to bear fruit. So I don't want us to overshadow or overlook that in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate the happy birthday well wishes from everybody. I will be out of town this week in North Carolina. I'll be back on Thursday afternoon, but should be available by cell phone if anybody needs me. Thanks.
Commissioner Glanzer?
I agree with Commissioner Martin on the Champions Park and Easton accomplishments. Those were awesome, and they had that thing, build it and they'll come, and they sure did. The other thing I wanted to say was to Mr. Watson, thank you for your efforts on this event July 1st. I hope everybody comes. When I heard that number, $20,000 thrown out there, I was shocked because I've been here a long time, as all of you have, with Blessed Hope. I mean, that will just, that's unheard of before. So thank you for your efforts. We'll be there. Thank you.
I got to say one thing, and I know
You got to come up to the mic.
No.
Come on, Mr. Watson. We'll let you interrupt the order.
Okay. I feel like this here. Like, we're a community, and I feel like nobody's done anything about Blessed Hope. And people call. I see people on the street. They ask for food. They ask for place to stay, and this is unprecedented. So I feel like this is what I do. So
we appreciate you
know
for
what I'm
it.
saying? And I want to see you about baseball later. but this is what I do. So this anything y'all need, I'm.
We'll take you up on that now. Careful.
Nah, I got a life after retirement. I can't do that.
Commissioner Glanzer, were you?
I'm all done, thanks.
All right. I just want to say it warms my heart to see that when other sports want to make money, they all come to play golf. You know, it's great. I wanted to just, I know that I thanked the emergency personnel who responded to the cold storage, but I wanted to just send out a thank you to the entire community, because this is the exact kind of story that warms my heart, that I know warms just everyone's heart, and makes people want to come and move to Newberry and work and live and play and worship in Newberry. When you have the oldest business in town that's more of a community member than it is a business struggle, to see the Lions Club come out, to see the high school offer their support, to see you guys offer support. It's everything that you want in a small town, in small town life. When somebody is in need, everybody kind of circles the wagons and comes together to pull it together and make it happen. So we certainly love our firefighters, but after the emergency, the town came together also, and that was truly awesome. I also wanted to highlight the presentations that we had here tonight. It is wonderful to see the turnaround for champions, to see them getting awards and those kinds of things, and it's always good to see Easton continue to do well. One thing that I would like to, not to down the praise, but one thing I'd like to see us do a better job of is working with our vendors. Some of our vendors are great at it. Some of our vendors are not so great at it. But letting the vendors that we work with are stronger, and forcing the vendors that we work with to also utilize local vendors. So if I see big tournaments going on, I'd like to know that the people running that big tournament, whether it's at Easton or Champion, are doing it with an eye to benefit Newberry. And so I'd rather not see, they can have all the food trucks they want out there, but I'd rather see local food trucks. If we've got local food trucks, there should be local food trucks that are allowed to be on site. Not excluded by contract, those kind of things. So as we move forward with future vendors, I think we need to do a better job in the upfront negotiating, saying, hey, this is what we expect to see. Because, for some of our vendors, there's, we got $400,000, $600,000 of regional impact, but I want to see what is the economic impact for Newberry. So it's great that we have these things that are going on, but for a lot of them, they really only end up helping Gainesville. And I think our vendors can do a better job of making an impact locally. So, I don't know what the next vendor who will come before us and wants to open and wants to do something will be, but the devil's in the details, and I think if we can get those kinds of things established right off the bat, then we can negate some of the future problems later on. And that will conclude except for a live happy birthday. I gave you the Facebook happy birthday, but there's a live happy birthday too. Audience comments. We've already heard from Mr. Watson, so he's out. Anyone else in the audience like to make a comment? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.
I'm going to take my paper back.
Yeah.